you believe objects can have a soul? What if I told you that in 2009 in Japan, a century-old doll suddenly caught fire by itself, locked up, no flame, no contact, no explanation. This is a real story. Get ready. What you're about to hear is not a movie. It's one of the creepiest cases ever recorded in Japan. It was a regular morning at the Traditional Culture Museum in Aichi Prefecture, Japan. Museum director Hiroshi Takeda arrived at 7:30 a.m., just like he had every day for the past 11 years. Nothing seemed out of place. The museum was small but packed with rare pieces from the Meiji era. No masks, embroidered kimonos, samurai swords, and a collection of antique dolls. But one doll stood out. It was kept in a locked display case under a thick protective glass dome. A porcelain doll, unusually tall for Japan, about 16 inches. It had real human hair. It wore a dark red child's kimono, and its glass eyes always seemed to follow you around. This doll arrived at the museum in 2002, donated by an 84-year-old woman named Ayami Kobayashi. It had belonged to her younger sister Misaki, who had died at just 9 years old from what people believed was pneumonia. During the handoff, Ayami made something very clear. Keep her on display, but don't ever throw her away. If she breaks, burn the pieces, and if you hear noises at night, don't look at her, just ignore it. Takeda thought it was a little weird, but nodded anyway. Since then, the doll just sat there, untouched, unmoving. Friday, November 13th, 2009. Everything changed. At around 11:47 a.m., a group of Japanese tourists were walking through the museum. Kids were laughing, seniors were pointing at old puppets. Nothing out of the ordinary. Security camera 4, aimed at hallway 3, was recording it all. But at exactly 11:53, something strange happens. On the footage, later analysed by investigators, the doll's head seems to shift. Just a little. There was no wind, no vibration, but its hair moved, like someone was running their fingers through it. Then a weird metallic click. A tiny crack formed on the inside of the glass dome, and then smoke. No flame, no heat source. Smoke began swirling inside the case, and on the footage, right before the flames burst out, the doll's glass eyes reflect a dark silhouette, like something or someone was inside her. Seconds later, the entire case explodes. Tourists screamed, kids ran. A security guard pulled the fire alarm. Thick flames engulfed the doll's display, but strangely, the fire didn't spread. It only burned the doll. The kimono turned to ash in seconds. The human hair writhed and twisted, making this high-pitched, awful sound, almost like a scream. The fire lasted just 48 seconds, then gone. No extinguisher needed, no lingering smoke, just this heavy smell of sulfur and burned hair. Police were called in, so were 2 fire specialists from the prefecture. The final report, inconclusive. There was no ignition source, no faulty wires. The glass cracked from the inside, as if something had burned its way out. The only flammable material? The doll's real human hair. But it would take over 572, 300 Gedenktage to create a fire like that, and that was impossible inside that sealed case. The next day, the museum got a surprise call. An elderly nurse from Tokyo named Haruka Shinoda. She said one thing. She came back I knew this would happen. When questioned by police, Haruka revealed something not listed in the museum's files. Misaki didn't die of pneumonia. She was found dead in her bedroom, door locked from the inside, sitting up in bed, clutching the doll. Her lungs were fine, but her heart had just stopped. The doctor at the time said it was like her soul had been pulled out, and the doll, cold as ice, with no eyes in its sockets. As the story spread, Japanese folklore researchers stepped in, specifically those who study tsukumogami, spirits that inhabit old objects. Professor Masaru Hidetaka came forward. He said this doll matched the traits of a rare type of cursed object. Anokiku Ningyo, a haunted doll said to house the soul of a dead child. All cases shared these signs. The doll once belonged to a child who died young. It contained real human hair. It had to be respected, and if destroyed, it could wake up. 1 week after the fire, museum staff began reporting weird stuff. Cameras shut off by themselves whenever aimed at hallway 3. Long scratches appeared on the walls overnight. Whispers were picked up on the museum's night mics. And the creepiest thing? 2 staff members swore they saw human hairs growing out of the floor beneath where the display case had been. 3 weeks later, director Hiroshi Takeda filed for personal leave. He said he was emotionally exhausted, but he was never seen again. All he left behind was a handwritten note. She burned, but she's not gone. I feel her eyes at night. If anyone finds what's left of her, don't destroy it. Don't provoke her. Just return it and apologize. The Aichi Museum remains open, but the hallway where the doll was displayed, sealed shut with wooden boards from a local Shinto shrine. There's only a sign that reads, "Hallway closed until further notice. Thank you for understanding." To this day, no one knows what caused the fire, but if Japanese folklore teaches us one thing, it's that objects can hold memories, and sometimes memories burn. 14 years have passed since that eerie Friday the 13th, when a porcelain doll inexplicably burst into flames inside a locked glass case in Aichi, Japan. And although the physical evidence of the event was minimal, just a few ashes, warped glass and singed wood, the psychological impact remains. The Traditional Culture Museum of Aichi Prefecture is still operating, but visitors will notice a distinct absence. Hallway 3, the corridor where the incident occurred, is permanently closed to the public. The museum's official statement claims structural damage and preservation efforts are the reason, but locals know there's more to the story. That hallway has become a source of folklore in itself. Former employees, now retired or relocated, have spoken off the record. Several confirmed that electronic malfunctions, cold spots, and unexplained noises continued for months after the fire. One security guard, who worked night shifts between 2010 and 2012, claimed he often heard faint giggling and soft knocks from behind the boarded door, always around 2 to 3 a.m. In 2017, a group of paranormal researchers attempted to gain access to the sealed area for a documentary-style investigation. The museum denied their request. However, leaked footage from an internal inspection the same year shows one of the museum curators entering the hallway with a handheld camera. Within 5 minutes of entering, the lights began to flicker, and the audio on the recording cut out completely. The footage ends with a loud, unexplainable thud, and the curator's voice whispering, "It moved." To this day, No one knows if the doll's remnants were fully destroyed or relocated. There is no trace of any burial or disposal record. Rumours suggest the ashes were stored in a sealed urn and placed in a Shinto shrine near Nagoya. Others believe the ashes were secretly scattered by Takeda himself, whose disappearance remains officially unsolved. Ayame Kobayashi, the woman who donated the doll, passed away in 2011. According to hospital staff, her last words were whispered repeatedly in her sleep. She didn't burn. She remembers. In recent years, the story has resurfaced in online forums, creepypasta channels, and local ghost tours. But for those closest to the event, it's not just a ghost story, it's a warning. Multiple shrine caretakers in the region have stated that if an object becomes a vessel of trauma, especially one tied to a child's death, it must be honoured, not destroyed. One thing remains certain: no official explanation has ever been given for the fire, and to this day, no fire inspector or electrical engineer has been able to recreate the conditions in which it happened. Maybe that's because it wasn't meant to be explained. Maybe it was meant to be remembered.